Ukraine waited for Russia's Kerch Bridge convoy, then struck. Not the roadway, the system behind it. June 11th, 2026, night. 2 days after Ukrainian reporting says Chonhar was damaged, Russian logistics forced through Armyansk. Ukraine says about 50 trucks, fuel and ammunition, concentrated in that choke point, headed for Zaporizhia. Then the strike. Bridges, approaches, the column. Those trucks were never on the Kerch Bridge. They were there because of it. Start with the land. Crimea is a peninsula joined to mainland Ukraine by two thin necks, the Perekop Isthmus in the west and the Arabat Spit and Henichesk crossings in the east. Both are narrow, both are watched. To the east, the peninsula almost touches Russia. Almost. The Kerch Strait separates Crimea from the Taman Peninsula in Krasnodar Krai by a few kilometers of shallow water. Across that gap, Russia built the Crimean Bridge. Roughly 19 kilometers of structure, a 4-lane road crossing of about 17 kilometers, and a parallel double-track railway of about 18. The road opened in May 2018, the railway in December 2019. It is the longest bridge in Europe. Built after the 2014 annexation, it was always two things at once: a supply line and a statement. For the Russian military, that structure answered a specific problem. Since 2014, Crimea had been supplied by sea and air, or through Ukrainian territory Russia did not control. The bridge removed the middleman. Logistics is not glamorous. It is fuel, rail schedules, spare barrels, artillery shells by the pallet, and the narrow places where all of that has to pass. For Russian forces in the south, there are 3 ways in: the bridge across the strait, the land corridor along the Sea of Azov coast, running west through occupied Ukrainian territory into Crimea at Chonhar, Armyansk, and Henichesk, and ferries across the Kerch Strait, which have long carried what the bridge will not, hazardous cargo especially. Rail matters most. A single train moves what dozens of trucks cannot. Ammunition, fuel, armor on flat cars. The rail bridge, and the line that feeds it, is the artery. Everything else is compensation. Trucks on the R280 corridor, barges, ferries in weather that does not always cooperate. Think of the whole thing as plumbing. A few valves, a few pipes, and no slack anywhere in the system. Crimea is not only occupied territory, it is a base. Sevastopol and the Black Sea Fleet, airfields, depots, air defense, repair yards. Through most of the war, Crimea has been the rear area for Russian operations across the south, and the launch point for strikes deeper into Ukraine. And Crimea is where the southern front's supplies pass through before they reach the guns. Ukrainian officials have described the aim plainly for years: make Crimea unusable as a military base, and the front line to its north becomes harder to sustain. That does not require dropping the bridge into the strait. Ukraine did not need the bridge destroyed. It needed the bridge to stop being reliable. Reliability is the whole point of a logistics route. Take it away, and a planner has to assume the worst every time. 7 minutes after 6 in the morning, the 8th of October, 2022. A truck moves with the ordinary traffic onto the road bridge, then the ordinary ends. 2 spans of the road bridge collapse into the water. On the rail bridge alongside, a train of fuel tankers catches fire and burns. Russian authorities called it a truck bomb. The FSB put the charge at roughly 22,700 kilograms, concealed on pallets. Deaths were reported at the scene, 5 according to later accounts. Kyiv said nothing for a long time. Later, the head of the SBU, Vasyl Malyuk, claimed the operation publicly. President Putin called it terrorism. Within days, Russia began a campaign of large-scale strikes against Ukrainian energy infrastructure that would run through the winter, and Russia repaired the bridge. Full road traffic returned around the 23rd of February, 2023. Rail service in early May. 4 months of degraded capacity on the primary link. That was the actual result, not collapse. Friction. The 17th of July, 2023, a little after 3 in the morning. 2 uncrewed surface vessels approached the bridge from the sea. Ukraine later identified them as Sea Baby craft, an SBU and Navy program. Malyuk has publicly described warheads of around 850 kilograms each. A road span near Support 145, on the Russian side of the crossing, was badly damaged. 2 civilians in a passing car, Alexei and Natalia Kulik, were killed. Their daughter was injured. Repairs on that section ran into the middle of October. The strategic consequences arrived faster. Russia withdrew from the Black Sea Grain Initiative and, according to reporting at the time, struck port infrastructure around Odessa and Mykolaiv in the days that followed. Ukraine acknowledged the operation publicly in August. A pattern was now visible. The bridge could be reached from the road, from the sea, and by patient planning. Not once, repeatedly. The 3rd of June, 2025. The SBU released video and claimed it had spent months placing explosives on the bridge's underwater supports, an amount it put at roughly 1,100 kilograms in TNT equivalent. Russian officials minimized the incident. Traffic was halted briefly and resumed. Reuters verified the location shown in the video. It did not verify the blast itself. Treat the damage as claimed, not confirmed. The messaging, though, was not ambiguous. Under the water, under the supports, we can still get to it. By 2024, the shape of the campaign had changed. The bridge was still a target. It was no longer the only one. Ukrainian strikes moved down the network. The crossings at Chonhar and Henichesk, bridges and approaches on the land corridor, fuel depots, rail junctions, ferry terminals. ACLED, tracking the first half of 2026, describes a phased drone interdiction effort against the supply network of the occupied South. Not single spectacular hits, sustained pressure on movement. Ferries came under the same logic. Ukrainian sources, including material published through United 24, have claimed significant reductions in Kerch Strait ferry capacity through 2026, naming specific vessels. Those figures are Ukrainian claims. Here is why it fits together. The bridge is a valve. Threaten the valve and the flow does not stop. It shifts into the other pipes. Squeeze those and the pressure rises somewhere specific. Traffic backs up at the narrow places, waits for daylight, waits for escort, waits for a lull. Concentration is not a mistake. It is what the system does under pressure. And concentration is a target. Which brings us back to June 2026. On or around the 9th, Ukrainian reporting says the Chonhar crossing was damaged again. Chonhar is the shortest way from the land corridor into Crimea. Without it, traffic bound for the front has fewer options, and the main alternative runs west through Armyansk on the Perekop Isthmus. On the night of the 11th, Ukrainian forces struck bridges and approach roads near Armyansk, and a column, Ukrainian sources put, at about 50 trucks carrying fuel and ammunition. Ukraine credited its first separate assault regiment, the Da Vinci Unit, and its Perun drone crews. The reporting comes from Ukrainian outlets, among them the Kyiv Independent, Ukrainska Pravda, and Militarny. The cargo, according to those accounts, was moving toward the Zaporizhia direction, in the area of Huliaipol. Destruction tallies are Ukrainian claims and should be read that way. What is not a claim is the geometry. 2 necks of land, 1 damaged, everything routed to the other. Russia's response across these years has been methodical and expensive. Repair crews and prefabricated spans moved in fast after each hit. Layered air defense around the strait, missile batteries, jamming, smoke screens, barges and booms strung along the piers. Patrol boats, netting, restrictions on traffic, and long closures for inspection whenever an alert goes up. Hazardous cargo shifted toward the ferries, military traffic shifted toward the land corridor, and toward rail lines rebuilt through occupied territory. Convoys moved at night, spread out, or waited. All of it works. All of it costs. Air defense parked over a bridge is air defense not covering something else. Every kilometer added to a route is fuel burned and hours lost. Every closure is a schedule that has to be rebuilt. None of this has cut Crimea off. The bridge stands. The trains run. Russia has kept its southern grouping supplied through 4 years of war. But supply is not a yes or no question. It is a rate. How much, how fast, how predictably? Lower the rate and offensives lose weight. Artillery fires less. Reserves arrive later than planned. Nothing collapses. Everything gets harder. It also means the fight over Crimea's logistics is not finished, and it is not likely to be settled by a single strike on a single span. That is the campaign. Not one bridge, one night. A network held under pressure for years, watched for the places where pressure turns into a queue, which is what happened outside Armyansk on the night of the 11th of June, 2026. Ukraine did not wait for a convoy on the Kerch Bridge. It waited for the system the Kerch Bridge built. And when Chonhar closed, the system delivered the convoy to the only road left.